Hello everyone, my name is Sky, or you may also just know me as Henry. Either is fine. Um, so basically, I am coming in here. Obviously, it's a little different. You just switch from like text and shit to just this. But I'm gonna be telling you my experience and how we got to where we are right now. It's crazy, but okay. I would like to say I met him back on YouTube because obviously he was pretty active on my boyfriend's YouTube channel. So I used to just see his posts everywhere and even like promotions of his server, and I think that's where I actually joined from. I joined from one of the promotions and I got into a server. Now, obviously, I didn't speak right away. I don't usually speak in servers unless I'm like spoken to or tagged or like forced to do an introduction. So I sort of just sat there for a while, just watching, and he posted his designs on there. So I'm like, hey, that's a pretty cool design because it's a Mori, and he's like, oh, like you like a Mori, and I'm like, yeah, I like a Mori. I'm not that into the fandom, but back on the point. Basically, I said I like his designs, and then he recognized me because obviously Evan tags me a lot on his channel. If you guys haven't noticed, he recognized me and said, "Whoa, hey, you're Evan's friend." And I'm like, "Yeah, I am. Not friend anymore. Yeah, I'm his friend." And then it went to like, "Oh, I'm befriending everyone who's Evan's friend," which that's kind of weird, but I didn't think much of it at the time because I didn't have much online friends at the time. I still don't, but I wanted to get to know him because he genuinely seemed nice and stuff. So I just friended him, and that was it. We started talking from there, and it was fine at first. It was perfectly fine. It started from like conversations talking about interests, Amori, FNAF, his FNAF AUs, and then sort of spiraled to like whenever Evan was angry at him or just anything, he'd text me saying, "Hey, could you pretty please talk to Evan for me?" Like, no, dude. It was pretty strange. But I've been through people who've had that behavior with me before. People have used me as like a messenger of sorts. So, but it felt weird to say to talk to someone for someone, especially if they're quote unquote your best friend. Which, by the way, Evan and him were like never that close. I'm pretty sure. But he kept on asking me, begging me, "Oh, Evan's angry at me. Can you go speak to him?" And then it kept going downhill, more and more downhill, until we got to the Cassie saga. So, I'm Dominican, and Cassie's also like Hispanic. I'm Hispanic. Cool. Yeah, that's cool. What's not cool is that he used whitewash Cassie photos and backed it up with they're cute. They're cute art, but the thing is, it's a whitewashed character. I don't think that's very cute. When I confronted him about it, he immediately got defensive, saying, "Well, she's tan, not Hispanic." So, what you're telling me is that tan is tan is it's so stupid because I he didn't believe that there was black-skinned Hispanics. So I kept telling him like almost all my family's like black and Hispanic. But he's like, "No, they're tan." Like, okay. And then I'm pretty sure that conversation got me blocked or something because I couldn't message him after that. I tried to message him, but it kept on like not working. Then it surrendered to me writing an apology because I genuinely felt bad about it, and that's where our second conversation started. We became friends again, and he told me that I didn't want to become friends with you with not you, sorry, me right away because of how his friends always leave him and stuff, and how I might be betraying him. So I'm like, okay. And then the same day, he vents to me. He vents to me. And all that stuff. So what happened to me not being your friend, dude? And then he made me more uncomfortable, telling me stuff like more venting and more venting until like Evan had to get involved because he started making me uncomfortable. And I don't usually have the power to tell someone if they're making me uncomfortable. I just sort of tell them, but if they keep doing it, I can't really say it to them because then I feel bad about it. Because he was like venting and stuff and telling me, I think he was also just saying stuff about Evan, like, yeah, we used to be friends and I don't want to talk to him anymore, but I don't know how to tell him, so I'm just gonna leave him on red. And he expects me not to tell, my boyfriend about that. So that was great. He kept on messaging me stuff and got mad when I wanted to talk about my stuff. He kept on saying that, oh, so because I don't know much about the missing children back then. I still don't really know that much because I'm not that into the FNAF fandom. He kept on getting upset that I didn't know much about the FNAF stuff and to not get my knowledge from an unknown source, which is Evan, by the way. Evan was the source I shouldn't be getting FNAF information from. And the thing is, I don't think he knew what stuff Evan was telling me, because how would he know? I don't know. How would he know if Evan was telling me the wrong and right stuff? He got really upset at me just knowing stuff from Evan, the guy who's actually read the books. Going on from there, he started getting more uncomfortable talking about characters that are underage and his main story about an OC that sexually assaults another character and making a big deal about that for some reason. That was just uncomfortable to deal with. Okay. Just uncomfortable. Oh, not sitting anymore. He basically, it ended up in me blocking him again, and that apparently just started him saying I'm shit talking him behind his back and stuff, but he shit talks me behind my back because I know. I've seen screenshots of it. He talks about me being a crybaby, and apparently I made Evan not want to be his friend anymore, and I made Evan say mean things about him, which, well, buddy. I do admit I was pretty brash in this part of the story, but I messaged him later because of a situation with B. I called him out on it, and I got pretty upset in the chat and stuff. And, and then after, he sent someone after me, after blocking me, and God, if you can't own up to your own stuff, don't bring someone after me to deal with it. And by the way, he's still trying to be normal. When he's done this shit multiple times to multiple people, he's trying to just get away from all his problems when that's not how it's going to work. He's not gonna get away with this.
Hello, I'm Evan, obviously. I think most of you probably know who I am. This is my section of the call-out video, I guess. I'd like to start off with saying that I have been putting this off for a very long time. This was supposed to come out a while ago, probably more closer to Christmas. The reason I have been putting it off, though, is because, I guess some part of me still, cares about Mike. I don't know, it's complicated. I guess that's manipulation does to someone. You care about them, even though they've obviously hurt you very badly, as well as my friend, as well as my boyfriend. I'd like to also formally apologize for how long I've been holding this off for. Apologize to myself, Henry, and B as well. I shouldn't have held this off as long as I did. This should have gone out a lot sooner, and I also want to apologize to everyone else that has been hurt by him in the processes. I have seen his community posts of him begging people, or crying about people blocking him or whatever, and then deleting the posts later on for whatever reason. And I didn't really do anything about it, so I am very sorry for that. But I am finally working on the video, seeing more and more people blocking him, I guess, and knowing exactly why they're doing it, and also seeing him now communicating with a few people that I myself am friends with. I don't want anyone else to get hurt the same way that me, Henry, B, and I'm sure lots of other people that have blocked him were. So I am not good at writing scripts. I didn't really write one. I do have this notebook with me where I wrote the key things that I want to talk about, and hopefully my brain will be able to put these in order well enough. I put things into like bite-sized sections, I guess, in the order that it happened, because whenever I tried rehearsing this before, it kind of, I kept forgetting things, I kept getting off track. I'm not going to do this, I'm getting off track while saying that, sorry. Yeah, so, first of all, I'd like to talk about how me and Mike became friends in the first place. I met Michael, on YouTube, obviously. He commented on my videos a lot, I guess. He was a fan of my channel, so just like any of my other fans, I talked to him as I tried to communicate with everyone as much as possible. And at some point I checked out his channel, because again, that's another thing I do. If someone comments on my videos long enough, I will eventually check out their channel just to see if any other common interests, and see if we could be friends, because I like making friends with people. I like bonding with people subscribed to me. So we did eventually actually become friends, and it was okay at first. We talked about Five Nights at Freddy's a lot, since that was, I'm pretty sure, at the time that I knew of, the only common interest. I got him into not a few, I only got him into one thing. I got him into Fruits Basket, which, weirdly enough, he stopped being into after we stopped being friends. I don't know what happened there. Slash sarcasm. I don't know. Pretending to be interested in something so people find you cool is kind of weird. But whatever. I say that, but I do the exact same thing. Well, I mean, I did when I was younger, but whatever. And it was fine at first. Like I said, I didn't notice any obvious red flags. He tagged me a lot in his post, I guess, which I found a little, annoying is not the right word. I don't find it annoying when people tag me. I actually really like it when people tag me. I like seeing different things that people made, inspired by me and whatnot. Or if they want to tell me something, or want to, give some sort of, appreciation post or fan art, I love looking at those kinds of posts. The thing that was bothering me is that he tagged me in things that weren't really related to me at all, or any, inspiration at all. He just started tagging me in his videos for whatever reason, just saying, oh yeah, here's my bestie, Mr. Scotty. We weren't besties. That was never a thing. We were friends. But in order to actually be considered, my bestie, you have to, actually know me in person, first of all, which I didn't know him in person, and second of all, definitely longer than the few months that we had been friends. So that was weird. It was very odd, I guess. I didn't mind it at the time, I guess. I didn't really think anything was wrong with it. I was like, oh, this is just some guy that's happy to be friends with me. I can get that. I used to get really excited when somewhat popular figures wanted to talk to me too, so I can understand that. from a viewpoint where I used to be on my channel. But then it got to the point where he started kind of like pressuring me for my phone number, which was weird, very, very odd. And I told him countless times, like, hey, no, I can't do that. I can't do that because, first of all, I don't want anyone, like my parents or something, finding out, because then I'd get in trouble. Second of all, there isn't really any other private place for me to give you my phone number, and anyone could get it, and some bad stuff could happen if other people got my phone number. And he's like, okay, well, then if we can't do that, then I'll just, like, make a unlisted video and send it to you, and you can give me the phone number in your comments there. A bad idea, by the way. If you're, like, 10 and trying to do that, that's not a good idea. It's a little stupid. I'm not saying you are stupid. I'm saying it's a stupid idea. Because if you don't know this, other people can still get the link to your unlisted video if you send it in a public space. Which by the way, my boyfriend was able to get to the link that he sent me before I did. So that's just proof in of itself that anyone could have gotten to that link and I would not have been safe. But whatever, that's fine. So I told him countless times, like, hey, no, I can't do this. And at the point where he was thinking of the whole link thing was, I was in the car at a time. I was on some sort of, like, trip with my parents, and he kept, like, I guess, getting upset with me that I didn't reach the link in time. I was like, dude, the internet here, it's all wonky. I'm on the road right now. And I told him this. I told him when we started the conversation, like, oh, yeah, I'm on the road right now, so, like, replies to me be slow or whatever. He couldn't get that through his head, I guess. I had to respond to him immediately, or else I'm mad at him, or whatever. Like, he literally asked me, like, are you mad at me right now? Like, are you alright? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I just put a period at the end of my sentence. I can put a period. I can be punctual without being angry. Whatever. So, I told him, like, okay, well, if you can't have my number, but why don't we try Tumblr? I have a Tumblr account. I don't use it anymore, by the way. I never go on Tumblr, so please don't ask for it. Sorry. I keep thinking someone's going up the stairs, so that's why I'm pausing. Sorry. I told them, like, hey, I can give you my Tumblr account, and then we can we can chat privately on Tumblr instead. And this is what he told me. He told me, no, my phone can't download Tumblr, actually. Sorry. Which didn't make much sense to me, because first of all, you don't really need to download Tumblr in the first place. I don't have the app, I have the website. You can very easily log into the website of Tumblr, just like almost any other sort of social. You can just go into the website. It'll be a bit different. It won't be like the app, and you won't get notifications the same. But you can still do it. It's still very possible to just go into the website instead of the app. But he said that he couldn't do it. He couldn't download on his phone, which I find interesting, considering the fact that he has YouTube, Discord, Instagram, and whatever else. He has all these different socials. He can get Instagram and Discord, but he can't get Tumblr. Sure. Okay. If you say so. He did eventually, this is like the only time in this whole story I can actually say that he had some sort of realization that, hey, maybe what I'm doing is wrong. And it was because his mom told him it was wrong. He told me, hey, am I making you uncomfortable? Because, like, my mom said that I'm kind of pressuring you into you giving me your number. And obviously I'm a pushover, I'm a people pleaser. So it's like, oh, no, it's okay. Because I have this idea in my mind that if I tell people no, they are going to be mad at me, especially friends. And I don't want people to be mad at me. I don't like it when people are mad at me. It makes me nervous. It amps up my anxiety. I have diagnosed anxiety, by the way. Like, I have GAD, generalized anxiety disorder. So I was obviously very insanely nervous to make him mad. So I just told him, like, no, oh no, it's okay. I mean, I guess I can give you my number if you really want it. And then eventually we just started chatting on Roblox, and that was fine because we could chat privately on Roblox. And then he stopped adding me every 3 seconds to ask for my phone number, and instead moved on to chatting me privately on Roblox about getting my phone number. So this wasn't an issue about wanting to chat with me privately, because that's what he said it was originally. He said, oh, well, it's just I don't want other people to see our conversations, like if I'm venting to you or something. Interesting that your mind's on venting, by the way. I don't know why that was the first thing that came to mind. If I'm like venting to you or something, then I don't want other people to see our conversations. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's reasonable. Get Tumblr. We can chat privately on there, and then you can vent to me all you want or whatever. That didn't work out because I guess he can't get Tumblr. So we went on Roblox. You can chat privately on Roblox just fine. Obviously, there's censorship, but whatever, just don't cuss every 3 seconds, you know? That wasn't enough, though. He could not deal with being on Roblox and chatting privately there. He had to have my number. He stopped adding me. And I'd also like to mention that he deleted some of the posts where he was begging for my phone number, which I find fascinating that he did that. Very fascinating. You can't really find a lot anymore, if any. I'm not sure if he's deleted more. I haven't really checked because I don't feel like scrolling that far down his channel, because seeing everything else that he added me in kind of makes me feel icky. But anyway, so he started pressuring me for my phone number on Roblox until eventually I cracked, and I was like, okay, fine, you can have my number. I gave him my number. I kind of put it in different portions because obviously it's going to censor numbers. Finally gave it to him, and then we started messaging, and it was fine at first, I guess. We just started chatting like friends, normal friends, I guess. And then the first incident happened where I was like, oh, okay, well, that was kind of creepy. Like, that, not creepy, that was kind of weird. Like, why are you so mad about this? This is an odd thing to be mad about. I was on a Roblox game with him and one of his friends at the time, which, by the way, I think blocked him later. I have no idea why they would have blocked him. / sarcastic again. I think someone's on the phone. Oh, it's my sister, I think. Yeah, I think she's on the phone with a friend. Anyway, so we were on Roblox and we were playing just fine. We were like on this some whatever apartment game, I guess. I don't remember what it was called. It's like apartments or something. So we were on that, and then he got mad. No, he didn't get mad yet. His friend joined the game, and it was fine because I was talking to his friend as well, and he had told me, like, oh, well, my friend, they wanted to be your friend for a really long time because they really like your channel, and I was very happy about that. I was like, oh, that's great. I love being friends with people, then I'd be happy to talk to them because they seem really fun. They were really nice to me the whole time we were all playing together. And then he left the game. He left the game, and then he texted me, like, you guys were ignoring me. I can't talk to 2 people at once. And I was trying to talk to both of them, but I can't physically put 2 chat boxes at the same time to talk to both of them about 2 separate things. I was pacing myself, as that's normal. I was talking to them, and then I talked to him, and we talked together, and it was fine. But according to him, we were ignoring him because I guess the attention wasn't on him 100%. Whatever. He got really mad about this. He just like kept texting me. He's like, oh no, you were ignoring me. I don't think you guys even realized it. I mean, I guess I'll forgive you, but I just feel a little hurt. I'll forgive you because I don't think you guys realized what you were doing, and just stuff, very guilt trippy sort of things, which I've had people tell me that before. I was like, okay, dude, I'm not falling into any of your bullshit. So I was obviously, I can't get off the Roblox game without getting out of Roblox to go text him. So I just stayed on game with them. I was like, okay, well then I'll wait for him to stop being petty about this, because I don't want to argue with someone right now. Like, I'm not gonna argue with some kid that's my age because he's mad that I didn't put my full attention on him 24/7. So I kept hanging out with them, and he just got really pissed about this. And eventually, we did get off the game, and oh, I forgot to mention, he came back online for a little bit, and then he like wasn't talking to us. We were trying to talk to him. We were like, hey, oh my god, hey Mike, you're back. Like, hey, Mike, come on, let's hang out. Let's talk. Literally focusing our attention on him, and he just ignored us. He just kind of stood there, didn't say anything at all. I think I remember him like moving around, so it definitely wasn't like an AFK thing. He was blatantly ignoring us. To be petty, I guess. I don't really know. We kept trying to get his attention, and he just was not having any of it. And then eventually, he left the game. He's like, oh yeah, my phone's about to die or whatever, so he's gonna go get a charger. No, he didn't say on the game. He left the game, and then he texted me. He was like, hey, my phone's about to die, so whatever. And I guess he expected me to get off the game because he couldn't be on the game, not continue talking to this other person that I'm also trying to be friends with. Just get off it entirely because he's off it. So obviously I had to follow his lead or whatever. And he got pissed at me because I didn't do that, because I kept being my own person and doing what I wanted to do, as a human being. He got pissed at me for that, and I went back and I was like, hey, I hope sorry your phone almost died. I hope we can like play again sometime soon or whatever. And he was, he's like, you didn't even like, I'm not mad at you, but you didn't even take the time to like look at what I sent you. It's like, okay, I did see what you sent me though. I got the notification for it. I didn't say this to him, by the way. I was very nice to him the whole time. I didn't see the notification. I mean, I saw the notification for it, so obviously I saw he was texting me. I can't get out of the game because if I get out of Roblox, I'm no longer online, and I will be removed from the game, and I'm not just gonna leave this person randomly all alone because he left. This person's still playing. We're still having a conversation. I'm not going to leave in the middle of the conversation or just like interrupt them and say, hey, I gotta go because Mike left, so obviously I'm bound to whatever he wants to do, so bye. That's dumb. And also you can play Roblox while on your charger, so I don't really know why this was a problem in the first place. It was a little odd. It shouldn't have been a case where, like, oh, I had to get off because my phone's about to die. Like, you can, but he can still keep texting me. Like, you could have been on the game while charging your phone. I do that all the time, like, constantly. So that was the first thing where it's like, oh, that was a little weird. That was a bit odd. And then there came a few incidents where he just kept suggesting that I was like mad at him like every 3 seconds, not every 3 seconds, like maybe like every few days. He was like, are you mad at me because I didn't reply to him like immediately or whatever? And he just got super like upset about this, that I didn't reply the moment he texted me. I was like, oh no, I'm not mad. I was just busy doing something. I don't share all of my life on YouTube. I don't think you guys understand that I base like a few hours of my day, and that's usually on the weekends, to my videos, and then everything else is like things that I'm busy with. I can't always reply to you immediately. I'm a busy person. I have a life. I have a family. No, I'm not. That sounded wrong. I'm not a father. Not yet. I meant like my parents and my sisters. I have 2 younger sisters. I have to take care of them a lot. And sometimes I'm not an extrovert. I'm very much introverted. Again, I have anxiety. So most of the time when I am texting people, because I don't like texting people, I don't like calling people. I don't really like even talking to people like on Discord or online or anything like that. The person I talk to the most is my boyfriend, and that's because I've known him the longest. I've known him for like 3 years now. I talk to him a lot because he's the person I'm most comfortable with. So obviously I'm going to be talking to him more. But I guess Michael doesn't understand things like that, so he got real pissed at me for whatever. So there were a few times where I literally was just out with my family doing whatever, and I had left my phone at home because it's, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, I think, what the hell is scratching out there? Sorry, someone just scratched on the door, not the door, the window? I don't know. In my opinion, okay, something's crawling up there. That's freaking me out. Stop it. In my opinion, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. In my opinion, I think it's rude as hell to go with your family and take your phone with you and be on your phone the whole time. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just how my family functions. I think it's rude. I think it's very disrespectful to your family that's trying to spend time with you to just be on your phone the whole time, especially when you're going out somewhere. So obviously, most of the time whenever we go out, I don't take my phone with me. Unless, I know it's going to be, we're going to be there for, a really long time, and I'm going to get bored eventually, and I want to, play some music or something, or talk to Henry. Then obviously I'm going to bring my phone. But most of the time, I don't bring it. I leave it at home and, put it on the charger or something, because my phone's usually all, on the brink of dying most of the time. Because that's just how I think. That's just how I function personally. So he got mad at me one time for doing that. He was he texted me. I was downstairs with my mom. My phone was upstairs, and I was just watching something with her. Just one episode of something for a little bit. And he texted me something. I don't remember what he texted me. And then he, not even, 10 minutes later, he was like, hey, where are you? Where'd you go? 10 minutes. Not even 10 minutes later, he got mad that I didn't reply immediately. We have way different time zones, by the way. I could have been doing anything. This is, right in the morning. I could have still been asleep, for all he knows. He's, 6 hours ahead of me. So that was very odd. He just got very mad at that. And he just kept spam texting me, all caps, where'd you go? Don't leave me, or whatever. And then I came back, I was like, dude, I was, hanging out with my mom downstairs, just watching something with her. And then he was like, oh, well, yeah, I know, I was just joking. It didn't really sound like you were joking. I don't know, maybe that's the neurodivergent in me that's oh, that doesn't sound like a joke, that sounded really serious. But it didn't seem like he was joking. And I'd also like to point out that he's told me and numerous other people he's also neurodivergent. I don't know how much I believe that, to be honest. But it's obviously it's rude as hell to say that someone else is faking it because they don't have the same symptoms as you or don't act the same as you, because not everyone's a carbon copy of each other. But I just feel like he should have had a bit more understanding for whenever I didn't understand things immediately or whatever. So he's like, oh no, I was just joking and whatever. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I was with my mom, but I'm here now, so we can talk now, I guess. And then he was like, are you mad at me? And I was like, no, I'm not. I just woke up. I'm a little tired. And he was like, okay, well, I was just asking because, I have, a lot of trauma with people leaving me in the past. Yeah, Mike, I hate to say this. I really, really hate to say this. But if that many people have left you, friends of yours have just decided, I cannot be your friend anymore, in that short amount of time, and this has become a reoccurring thing, and they function perfectly fine with other people, it's time to realize that the only common denominator here is you. You are the only thing all of these people have in common. I'm starting to think, and I thought this for actually a long time, the problem is not the people that you make friends with. The problem is that they made friends with you, because you are not a very nice person a lot of the time. You're very manipulative. Yeah. He pulled out Oh, I have trauma a lot on me. Yeah, I've had problems with making friends, like, all throughout elementary school and middle school because I'm a huge pushover and let people walk over me and let them leech off me. But they never, stop, saying, okay, I can't be your friend anymore, I have to leave you. Because the thing with people like that is that they try to keep you close by because they know that they can leech off you whenever they want. The fact that these people left you is telling. I've had lots of bad experiences with people like that. Again, I'm a pushover. I have very bad anxiety, and I've been desperate for friends many times before. Just before mentioned, I'm neurodivergent and just have difficulty with socializing, like in person, a lot of the time. So I'm desperate for friends most of the time, and then I end up making friends with not so nice people. And Mike had the same exact speaking patterns, acted almost identical to every single person in my life that my mom, who's a therapist, has advised me to stay away from, who has told me these people are bad people. They're not good. And speaking of my mom being a therapist, I have an actual therapist, and I told her about Michael before, and I showed her quite a few texts and full context of what was happening, and she told me that's not the type of person you want to be friends with. He's an attention grabber. He's just trying to get attention from you, and very manipulative, and just a lot just bad things. That this guy is not a great guy. And she told me it's up to you to decide, does the good outweigh the bad? And honestly, it didn't. I couldn't, since getting his number, I couldn't really think of many good moments I'd had with him. I felt like it was like walking on eggshells around him. I couldn't hang out with other people without him getting pissed at me. It was very interesting. She had told me that I'd suggest blocking him. This is what my licensed therapist, wanted me to do. Wanted me to drop him completely and just stop being friends with him. I didn't do that. I should have listened to her because it just really got worse from there on out. He also did this thing a lot where he'd send multiple messages after one. He wouldn't finish his sentence and then continue on the next message over and over and over again. And my therapist even told me, yeah, this is a strategy used by a lot of attention seekers where they are trying to grab your attention because one notification might not be enough, but if you keep going and going and going and going and just multiple notifications after the other, you can't ignore it because it just keeps going. This is a strategy used, an actual thing that attention seekers use a lot. So that was great. He did that a lot. Everyone. He did that to me, did it to Henry, did it to B. He used that a lot to get people's attention, and also had a pattern of being mad when people didn't respond immediately to his texts or messages or whatever. He also started doing this thing where he'd make friends, specifically with people that I had talked to before in the past, and then he'd go to me, and then he'd send me screenshots of, an argument they had, and, start shit-talking them, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's weird, I guess. I didn't really question. I was like, oh, okay, well, sorry you guys are arguing, I hope things get better. I didn't try to take sides on anything. I was like, oh yeah, I hope things get better or whatever, because these are people that I knew. And he even asked me at some point, whenever the whole Eggy Muffins thing was going on, he was like, hey, you know the Eggy Muffins people, right? I was like, oh yeah, I know them. I was like, I'm friends, I guess, with them. I'm not anymore, but I was. And he was like, okay, well, they did this and this and this, and started just sending me shit that I guess they had an argument with on or whatever. They blocked him for a minimum amount of time on the server or something because he had said something that was kind of gross. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, that was kind of gross though. I don't know, I don't really blame them. It was a little gross. Yeah, well, they've said worse on it. And I was like, okay, well, that's not really my place to judge, I'm not them, I'm not on that server. I don't really want to hear it. He also did this a lot with another person that I talk to sometimes. Their handle is like FF made me insane or whatever. So do what you will with that information. You probably know who I'm talking about at this point. He sent me some arguments they had and started shit talking them, and I was like, oh, okay. Like I don't really want to hear about it. Like, this is someone I talk to, and I like their content a lot. I like looking like their theories and their posts and stuff. I just don't want to see you shit talking people I know. And he did this like regularly, where he just like kept making friends with people that he knew that I talked to regularly, and it was very odd. And then shit talking them, which is like a form of like trying to isolate me from these people, trying to get me to dislike these people, I guess, and make me stop being friends with them or stop talking to them or whatever. So that was great. Fantastic. So he started talking to Henry at some point, because obviously I was very, very good friends with Henry, boyfriends now, but very good friends with Henry. So obviously he has to start talking to him too. And the first problem that I can remember that he had with Henry was that he felt the need to come to me and tell me, he didn't, okay, I think it was supposed to be a joke at first, so it wasn't too bad, but he just sent me these things where they were talking about how short I am or whatever. I'm 5'2", I think at the time I was like 5'1". I'm short for my age. I'm 16, gonna be 17 this year. But the thing is that I'm short because of a disability I have, and I'm very, like, self-conscious about how short I am. I've never liked people talking about it, about how, like, that I'm short, because I know I am. And it's because I'm disabled, and because of something that's been very traumatizing in my life that is the reason that I'm as short as I am. I'd be a lot taller, maybe not a lot taller, but I'd be a little bit taller, at least a more average height, maybe like 5'5" or something, if it weren't for the fact that I have the disability that I have. And I told him this before. I told him, like, oh, I don't, because he joked about it before, he joked about it in the past, like, oh, wow, you're really short. I was like, oh, okay, I don't really like people joking about that. It just makes me, like, a little self-conscious. I don't like it. And he's like, oh, okay, I understand, sorry. And he apologized for it, and it was all good. But he'll talk to other people about how short I am. He kept saying stuff like, oh, well, Evan's really tiny and stuff, and he sent me screenshots of what him and Henry were talking about, how short I was. And then I sent them to Henry because I was a little upset. I was like, well, what is this? And Henry's like, okay, let me send you some screenshots, like context before that. They weren't talking about me at all. Mike had just randomly brought me up for whatever reason, and I'm not entirely sure why he felt the need to bring me up out of nowhere. He just did, and then Henry went along with it, as Henry is also very socially awkward like I am, and will just kind of go along with whatever to get along with people. So I understood that, and I wasn't mad at him ever for that, but obviously I told Michael, like, hey, I'm not comfortable with this, I told you this before, and he tried to pin the blame on Henry. He's like, oh, sorry, it's just Henry brought it up first, and I just went along with it, which, as I've already said, it wasn't true. He brought it up. He's the one who just randomly started talking about how tiny I was, and then Henry's the one who went along with it because he wants to get along with people. And I told him, like, no, that's not true. Why are you trying to blame someone you know that I'm very close with on this? Like, why are you trying to blame him? I've already talked to Henry about it. Henry sent me screenshots that proved that he's not the one who started it. Then he doubled down. He's like, no, I didn't mean that he started it, even though he literally said Henry's the one who brought it up. And I quote, Henry is the one who brought it up. So, but I guess that's not him trying to say that he's the one who brought it up. It's the opposite of what he meant, actually, I guess, / sarcastic, once again. So that was fun. That I loved. I hated that. I loved hating that. So there was that incident. Very upset about that one. And then after that, I made a vent video because he started pulling out some more manipulative stuff. He was like, oh, I just, please don't be mad at me like it's my past trauma or whatever, because, I don't know, he just started pulling out some more stuff. I made a vent. I'm not sure if you guys remember the vent I made where it, like, had this, like, you know, mannequin person. It was, like, spouting some manipulative stuff, and then, like, it used the song Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. That vent was about him. And I had specifically said in both the pinned comment and the description, don't message me about this, please. If you think it's you, well, it most likely isn't, first of all. But if it is you, and I really hope you do know that this is about you, because if you don't, then there's like a really huge lack of self-awareness there. But if you do know it's you, don't message me about it. Don't try to apologize. Don't pull any more manipulative stuff like this. Just change. Just don't do it anymore. I've always been the type of person that does not like to hold grudges. Someone could, like, be absolutely terrible to me, like, comment something, like, telling me, like, to kill myself or whatever on my channel one day, and I'll be like, oh, and I'll come with, like, some snarky reply. I'm like, oh, well, it's not like I'm holding a gun against your head and telling you to watch my content or whatever. And then if they comment again, like, compliment a different video, I'll be like, oh, thank you, that's really nice of you. I will completely ignore whatever past problems we've had. And I did this a lot with him as well. I ignored past conflict we had just to be friends with him. So there's that. My sister's screaming. I don't know what she's screaming over. She just roared at her screen, I guess. So Sorry, it got quiet again. What was I saying? Oh shit, I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, so I'm not the person to hold grudges. I will ignore every other problems we've ever had. I did this a lot with him, where ignored conflict or arguments that we had in the past and just put them aside. And if he wants to talk to me normally, I'll be like, okay, yeah, let's talk normally. I do that with everyone, constantly. I will ignore problems that we've had in the past, just have a normal conversation with you. I'm a people pleaser, as previously stated. I just want people to like me. So, yeah. I specifically stated multiple times, hey, don't contact me about this. Don't ask who it's about either. Please, I don't want to talk about it. I just needed a place to let out my feelings real quick. And just get some validation. And that's what I got. I'm very thankful for everyone who was very validating in the comments. You guys are amazing. And now you know who this is about, I guess. Anyway, he contacted Henry about it. Yep, he went to this little messenger boy, I guess, and told him, like, oh my god, I think this is about me. Like, message him and ask him if this is about me, or whatever. And he's like, oh, well, I'm gonna go talk to him about it. And Henry's like, hey, no, don't do that. He said he doesn't want you to do that. Please don't do that. He doesn't want to talk to anyone about it. Like, I'm not even talking to him about it, because he wasn't. Because everything I had vented about, and that I had already been talking to him previously. Because I trust Henry, obviously. So, yeah, Henry told him, like, hey, don't do that. And Michael's like, I'm really worried and whatnot, and just more guilt-trippy stuff. And Henry quite literally had to, like, put his foot down and say, like, no, I'm not doing this for you this time. Like, you have to deal with this on your own. I felt like my that sounds weird. I feel like my request out of the person who had hurt me was pretty simple. Don't contact me about it. Don't ask if it's you. Don't apologize. Just be better. It's pretty simple, in my opinion. I think that was a pretty easy thing to accomplish. But he didn't want to do that. He was not having that. And Mike was like, okay, fine. I won't contact him about it, I guess. And then he changed his mind. He was like, okay, I'm gonna contact him tomorrow about it. And Henry was like, no, don't do that. He doesn't want to talk about it at all. And Derek avoided that, I guess. I don't really remember that part. I guess he did. I guess he just completely ignored Henry telling him that, because what do you know, the next day he's like, was that vent about me? And I told him, like, dude, I told you I didn't want to talk about this. Like, I just want things to change. I don't want to be manipulated anymore. Obviously, I, like, snapped a bit. I don't want to be walked over for, like, forever. So I told him, like, I just stop doing this. It's like, I'm sorry. It's just my past trauma and all these people that have left me in my life before. Please tell me you're not mad at me or whatever. And I was like, okay, I'm not mad. I don't want to be treated like this anymore. And then eventually I just completely broke. And I was like, okay, fine, I'm sorry. And I ended up having to apologize for what he had done. He had found a way to twist my words and to change what he had done in such a way that made me apologize for him manipulating me. So, yeah, that's great. So, then we have another situation with Henry. He blocked Henry for a little bit because Henry had told him, hey, whitewashing Cassie isn't really okay. That's kind of like one of the few only, like, actual Hispanic representation we have in the games that isn't just, like, characters that are never relevant, you know, like the FNAF 4 bullies, like the FNAF 4 kids. So, and Michael got pissed about that. He was like, well, she's not black. No one said she was black. We said she was Hispanic, not black. And he's like, well, Hispanic means you're tan. And I made her tan. Hispanic isn't a race. It's an ethnicity. It's not a race. Not all Hispanics are tan. Most of my family is very light-skinned. On my dad's side, they are Hispanic. But they are light-skinned. They are white-passing Hispanic people. My uncle, however, my, like, dad's best friend, also Hispanic. But he has very dark skin, very similar to Cassie's. And then I've also seen a lot of Hispanic people that are just like the normal tan that you'd expect from, that I guess what Mike would consider actually Hispanic. So, in Mike's logic, my dad's side of the family and my uncle aren't Hispanic. They're white and black. And then only tan people are Hispanic. Wild assumption to make, I guess. Very interesting. He never made it more obvious that, oh yeah, you're white and live in a primarily white place. Because I feel like it's pretty easy to understand that that's not a race. And that Hispanic people aren't tied by one specific skin color. Hispanic just means that you're from any Spanish-speaking country. It doesn't mean that you're tan. Because anyone can be tan. You can be white and be tan because you're in the sun a lot. But that doesn't make you Hispanic. I've met white tan people. They weren't Hispanic. They were just tan. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's not what this is about. Henry already had discussed this part on his section. Mike had gotten very mad about this, I guess, very upset with him and said, hey, if you don't stop talking about this, I'm gonna block you. And he blocked him because Henry told him, like, hey, don't do racist things. Because Henry's Hispanic, and a lot of his family's dark-skinned. But I guess according to Michael, that they're not Hispanic, they're black. But whatever, sorry. Okay, I also like to mention real quick, it's like a little side note, I know that I'm chuckling and like joking a bit. It's not because I find this funny, I don't find this funny. I use humor as like a coping mechanism, so I very much apologize for that. I know people are probably going to come at me in the comments and be like, hey, this isn't true and you're making this all up because you're joking about this and this isn't a funny situation. I agree. It's not a funny situation. It's very upsetting. And I've cried about this many times before. I use humor as a coping mechanism. I laugh nervously a lot and joke to make light of a bad situation that just really upsets me to avoid myself from crying. Okay, anyway, just wanted to get that out there. Put that out in the world so people know. So after a bit, Henry had apologized, obviously, because he started feeling bad. Henry's just a very compassionate and kind person. He apologized, and they, I guess, started talking again, but then Michael was like, oh, well, yeah, but we can't be friends yet, because you might betray me again, or whatever. Yeah, so they weren't friends, but I guess they weren't friends, but literally, like, not even the next day, Michael started venting to him, talking about, like, his girlfriend or something, which, by the way, oh my god, he blocked his girlfriend because she was suicidal. So that's wonderful. That's great, Michael. That really shows what kind of person you are. I'm gonna block the person I'm dating because they told me they're suicidal. Okay, and then he was venting about it, like he's the one with who's like really going through it right now, when we haven't, when no one's really heard from her. Like, I checked her channel recently, there haven't been any recent posts, so I really hope that she's okay and that she's doing all right. And I have a very strong feeling that I know exactly what he was doing, because I'd seen messages between the two, not between them specifically, but like just in general. In a server that Henry was in, he'd like sexualized her a lot, and it was very disturbing things, and I was just like, well, what the hell, like, why are you so caught up in her body? And this woman a lot. Actually, he had sexualized both Henry and my OC, Elliot and Jess, respectfully. He sexualized them a lot, like made jokes about like Elliot, and he made a joke about my Elizabeth one time, which was very uncomfortable, and I was just like, okay, well, just because she's 15 in my AU does not give you an excuse to sexualize her, considering canonically she's like 8 to 10 years old. You're canonically what her actual age is nowhere close to how old you are, Michael. You cannot sexualize a person who's canonically a child, no matter what, no matter how old she is in my AU. And it's very odd because she doesn't have any like boobs or whatever. I'd never draw them on her. I've never really given them. I don't draw anything like that on her, and she obviously looks very childlike in my AU. But no, we had to say smash to the 15-year-old because, well, she's 15 in this AU, but not canonically. He also made a lot of jokes about sexualizing Elizabeth when she's 5. Which those screenshots were already provided, so those exist. Yeah. If that isn't enough to convince you that he's gross, I think you need to help. I think you need to get help too. Fictional character or not, it's really weird that you'd say, I'd fuck her raw to a 5-year-old. It's really weird. It's very disturbing. Anyway, they start talking again. He started venting about his ex-girlfriend, and Henry was like obviously very uncomfortable by this because he kept doing it, and he kept ignoring Henry a lot. Like, Henry would like say something about his AU or something about me, and he'd be like, cool, and then start talking about himself some more, and it was just very angering to look at. And him and I were still talking at this point. Me and Michael, we were still like contacting each other, so I told him, I was like, hey, I think you should like apologize to Henry, and like you're making him uncomfortable with how you're speaking to him. I did this myself, by the way. Michael has made a habit. I'll talk about that later. I need to follow this list that I've made for myself to not get off track. So I told him, I was like, stop doing this. You're making him uncomfortable, and he just doesn't like it. And then he got mad at that. He like started he was like, oh yeah, he went to Henry and he was like, sorry, I guess, and not an apology. So it's like, hey, saying sorry, I guess, and then immediately excusing your actions is not an apology. That's not a proper apology. That's just more manipulation. And then he got pissed at me. He's like, listen, will you just get over it? It was just an oops. He said it was an oops. I don't know what the hell an oops is. I've never heard anyone describe a mistake as an oops. But okay. Right. I guess that's what we're going with here. It was an oops. So he started going on about that and then getting very pissed because I was like calling him out, like, hey, stop doing this, please. And then eventually after that incident, he kind of started ghosting me. I like started talking to him normally after that. I was like, oh yeah, okay, let's talk about whatever else. And I started like talking to him about different things, so, like things about like my AU, or like talking about like how my day's been, or like saying like, oh yeah, well, this and this happened, or like trying to start conversations with him. He ghosted me for like a whole week. He ignored me, and then Henry had brought up a topic similar to what I said. And he was like, oh yeah, Evan showed me that, but like I didn't respond to it. And then he asked Henry, like, hey, would we still be friends if I stopped being friends with Evan? Okay. And then he texted me, and he was like, hey, listen, I got all of your texts, but, like, I've been purposely ignoring them. Outright admitted to ignoring me. This is the same person. This is the same guy, by the way. Same flesh and skin and brain that got mad at me because I wouldn't respond to him in the first 10 minutes that he texted me. He can ghost me for a whole week and it's completely fine. I also like to mention that he made a post on his community post saying, like, hey, complaining about people ignoring him. Like, if you don't want to talk to me, just say you don't want to talk to me. Like, you could have said you didn't want to talk to me either as well. And you ghosted me for a whole week and said, with not a word, looking at my text, you looked at what I had said to you and chose to ignore it. It's like, it's just like, and he told me, he's like, it was just like, you ignore things I say sometimes. And like, yeah, sometimes I genuinely just don't know how to respond. I do that a lot. I will not respond to certain things I don't know how to respond to. Like, I guess he told me, like, oh yeah, well, I wanted to get you something for like your birthday or whatever, and I didn't know how to respond to it, so I didn't. And a lot of the times, there wasn't even like an example of that actually on that one. I genuinely didn't see it because I get distracted a lot. I'll like look at something and then something else will sidetrack me because of my ADHD, and then I'll completely forget about it. I do that a lot. You can ask Henry about it. I've done it plenty of times to him. So I genuinely didn't see that, and then he started bombarding me with other things, so then I never saw it. The only times I can think of where I just ignored it and didn't know what to say is because he was talking about Pokemon, and I told him I don't know anything about Pokemon. I'm not interested in Pokemon. I don't really know much about it. I know Pikachu, and that's it. And apparently he's frustrated that I wasn't replying to his Pokemon posts that I don't know about. So he was mad about that. I don't have any interest in Pokemon. It's like, I wasn't insulting it. I wasn't telling you like, oh, your interests suck. I hate Pokemon. Stop talking about it. I just didn't reply. Which I admit was probably not the right way to go about it. But again, I'm just very much of a people pleaser, and I was like, well, if I tell him I don't know anything about this, again, but I had already told him that I don't know about Pokemon, but that didn't matter, I guess. If I tell him, again, he's gonna be mad at me. Anyway, so he brought that up, and then he was like, and also, it just feels like every conversation we have an argument. Not really. You're the one who's turning it into arguments. Henry had conversations with him before where he just started arguing about something that Henry had said when he himself believed in the thing that Henry said. And then when Henry asked, why are we arguing about this if you agree with me? He's like, I don't know, I felt like it. But when it's me, he doesn't feel like arguing, even though 90% of the time, he's the one who escalated these arguments. it wasn't an argument, it was a peaceful disagreement before he got mad because I had a different opinion from him. So we have that problem, and then eventually I just told him, like, honestly, I don't really like talking to you anymore. I've been advised by everyone I know, my mom, my therapist, every single one of my friends, I have been advised to block you and stop talking to you. And honestly, I don't like blocking people, but I'm considering it because you have not been a good friend. I don't like talking to you anymore. Talking to you is just tiring and draining. And all he could say was, honestly, same. Because I'm the problem here. Honestly, same. It's just that you were like my biggest inspiration. Your designs, your videos, everything. You were such an inspiration to me. And he started pulling out more guilt-trippy things, saying that I was just like this huge inspiration to him. And I guess, like, implying that I had ruined it all and that, like, his view on me was just ruined because I stood up for myself a few times. I guess I didn't let him walk all over me the way he wanted me to walk. He wanted to walk all over me. So that makes me the problem. I'm the problem here, like a sort of never meet your heroes kind of thing. I didn't respond to those. Never respond to those texts. I just blocked him. I didn't know how to respond to them. I was like, what do I even say to this? Like, I'm not arguing with this guy anymore. I'm just gonna block him, and honestly, after I blocked him, I was much happier. Soon enough, he started being, like, sexist and stuff, which is probably the last things you saw from Henry. Talking about, how, like, I don't know, just some stupid women who get pregnant as teens are stupid and stuff like that, when there's a lot of reasons that this could have happened. Sexual assault exists, first of all, and second of all, a very common age to lose your virginity at is around the ages of being in high school, from 16 to 18. Those are very common ages to lose your virginity, and a lot of the times teenagers are what do you know, stupid. Our brains aren't fully developed. Our brains aren't even close to being fully developed. Your brain isn't actually fully developed until you're, like, around 27. So obviously teenagers are very stupid because they're nowhere near being in their late 20s. They're teenagers. They're still legally considered kids. They're going to do stupid things. And you bashing women who are going through a very difficult time in their life, figuring out that they're going to have a baby that they probably don't want, it doesn't help anyone. And not to mention abortion. Like, well, they can just get an abortion. Abortion is very frowned upon. If you haven't noticed, you can go to an abortion clinic and there will be protesters just all around it, like, telling anyone who goes in that they're a horrible person, that they're killing babies, or whatever. But you wouldn't understand that because you are a cis dude who only cares about women for their body, which you've proven time and time again with sexist remarks about women's bodies, sexualizing your own girlfriend, sexualizing a child because she dared to be a female. You're not a good person. I'm just gonna say it outright. You've been sexist, very sexist in the past. You cannot and will never understand what it's like to be a pregnant teen girl. And I find it kind of disgusting that you're just saying they're stupid and all these horrible things about them because you don't know what it's like. You couldn't know what it's like. So, after that incident, Henry blocked him. I advised him, like, you should just block this guy. This guy's obviously terrible. He's not a good person. Please just block him. And he did. After that, Henry had been told by B. B is another victim of Michael, that, yeah, this guy is kind of just talking crap behind your back. He said things about Henry, like, well, yeah, Henry was just kind of like a crybaby every time he disagreed with me. He, like, cried to his boyfriend about it and got his boyfriend to attack me. That never happened. Henry never cried about anything. He didn't cry about these things that Michael did because he disagreed with him, and he never went to me and told me to attack him. Henry never told me to go attack anyone. I did it myself because I care about him. There's a difference, which I guess he can't seem to comprehend, the fact that maybe I just care about my boyfriend. That maybe I just don't want him to be hurt by you anymore. And that I personally, myself, wanted to defend him. It's very difficult knowledge for him to understand, for him to grasp, I guess. So, he just kept shit-talking him like that behind his back. So, let's talk about B. While we're talking about B, let's talk about grooming. Because this one's a woozy. This one's real difficult. I'd like to say don't try to contact B. And anyway, B was a victim of Michael. B does not wish to be contacted. B came to me and said, hey, please do something about this. This guy's making me extremely... Well, technically he went to Henry about it. He went to Henry, then Henry told me, and then we were like, yeah, okay, we need to do something about this. B claimed to be around Michael's age, but I cannot say anything about this because I don't know B personally, but to be completely fair, B acted very childish. B used like this sort of like typing patterns that I've seen very commonly amongst like preteens. And Michael had told B one time when B said like, oh, well, people think I'm childish often. Michael's like, that's okay. I like childish. That's creepy. That's really creepy. That's really, really creepy. That gave me the ick a little bit. It's very creepy. So B had an older brother that babysat them often, I guess. And I'll show some screenshots like later. So Michael had started off his conversations with her by saying, there's normal conversations, not even like 2 or 1 day later, he had said like, oh yeah, well, I like you. I think, well, do you want to date me? Obviously he'd only been talking to B for like a day, so B was obviously like, oh, I don't know. B's a child. So obviously B doesn't know. They don't know how to respond to this very sudden confession by someone who they met like a day ago. And Michael's like, okay, well, if we're gonna date, you have, well, no, he said she has to do this just overall, like, yeah, send me a picture of your face. I need to see a picture of your face, like a full body picture of B's face, full body. I don't know why you need full body. That's weird. That's creepy. But he requested full body. And he had never done this to me or Henry, who are both guys. But the moment a female comes into question, it's, well, I need to see a full body photo. He never seen a full body photo of me. He never seen a full body photo of Henry. And he talked to us just fine. But when it came to B, the person who acted very childish and immature, I guess you could say, and very was a female, immediately he had to get this full body picture. Very frustrating and very angering and really gross, in my opinion. So B had told him like, oh well, I can't do that. I don't want my parents to catch me, obviously, like reasonably so. I don't want my parents to find out. Because my mom will probably like get mad at me or something. And he's like, no, it's fine. Just like send it to me real quick, and then you can delete it later or whatever. Like, or we can just like go into this like private server or something, and then you can send it to me there. And he was like, okay. I mean, I guess because he kept pressuring B into doing this. He kept going and going on about it, and then when B didn't do it immediately, he kept bringing it up. They'd have normal conversations for a little bit. This went on for like maybe a week or so, he was like, hey, by the way, when are you going to send me those pictures? And just kept going on about this. And then he started pressuring B to be his partner. And he just, like, got really upset with B because B didn't answer immediately what she wanted from him. And he's like, well, do you want to be my girlfriend? Yes or no? It's a simple yes or no question. And B reasonably said, well, B had very reasonably said, well, we can, like, talk a little bit more, and then I can decide later on whether or not I want to date you or not, because we kind of just met and I don't know you that well, which is reasonable. B doesn't know who this guy is. For all B knows, Michael could be some 50-year-old creepy-ass man that's trying to molest her. For all B knows. But Michael wasn't having any of that. Michael kept pressuring. He's like, give me a real answer. If you're not going to give me a real answer, then I'm different, like, threats or whatever. Like, not like violent threats or anything, just like the shit that he was pulling on me and Henry with the whole, oh, I'm going to block you thing or whatever. I can't remember the specific threats that he was giving towards B, but it was just very manipulative things once again, and he kept bringing this up. Are you gonna be my girlfriend, yes or no? And then he had named B on, like, the nickname that B was given was Crush. For some reason, I don't know why B's nickname was Crush. That's creepy. It just seems creepy to me. I don't agree with e-dating. I'm gonna say this right now. I think e-dating is weird. I don't think e-dating should really be a thing because you don't know who this person is. There's no way for you to possibly know who the person on the other screen is because catfishing has gone a lot more advanced over time, and it's not as simple as, okay, well, like, just take a picture of, like, yourself with a fork or something so I know it's really you, because now people are getting paid to pretend to be certain people. You can't really know anymore on the internet. Someone can look an age that they're not. It's very complicated now. But he just kept pressuring B into doing this over and over again and getting mad at B for not complying with what he wanted. So, and then it got to the point where Henry was telling B, like, hey, I think maybe you should block this guy. Like, he's not great. You've sended me a lot of very concerning messages, and B obviously told Michael about it because Michael's like, because I know B's a kid, so Michael was like, oh, well, yeah, that guy, he sucks, like, don't talk to that guy, block him, and all this stuff. And then when he had finally talked to Henry, like, one-on-one, and Henry was like, hey, I saw what you said, like, you're talking more shit about me to B, because he had said some more shit, like, oh, this guy's a crybaby or whatever, like, just goes and complains to his boyfriend about everything, and Michael claimed, well, I didn't know who she was talking about, I just saw, like, the profile picture or whatever, and then I saw, like, the username. Yeah, I just saw the username. And then Henry was like, well, you obviously knew who I was. Obviously, like, you're bringing up specific details here. You knew who this guy was, and now you're lying about it. Which is fascinating. B eventually blocked him. I think B was the one who blocked him because he just kept making B very uncomfortable. So, let's talk about what grooming is. Grooming is, you know what? Hold on. I'm gonna get out my iPad, and then we can look up the textbook definition of what grooming is together. Okay, so I'm gonna get it real quick. You guys are gonna bear with me here. Okay, so we're gonna look it up. Google, what is grooming? Okay, grooming is when someone builds a relationship trust, and emotional connection with a child or young person so they can manipulate, exploit, and abuse them. Children and young people who are groomed can be sexually abused, exploited, or trafficked. Anybody can be a groomer no matter the age, race, or gender. A lot of groomers will typically try to isolate the person that they are grooming, which is a very common thing that Michael had done to both me, Henry, and B. I want to focus more on B here, more on B and Henry, because with me it's just kind of iffy still. Usually grooming happens when there is a power difference. The power difference can range from anything like age or like as a boss, a teacher, anyone who's like higher up than you, but it can also be from people who seem to be as equals, the same age, the same amount of power, but one can just have very much more dominant personality than the other, which is something that Michael very much had over all of us. The one thing that me, B, and Henry all had in common is that we were very shy people, very much people pleasers and whatnot. And he definitely took advantage of the fact that we were more shy people and didn't have as much of a dominating personality as he did. So, and I know people are probably going to bring this up and, hey, but it's not grooming if you're the same age. You're wrong. Can you get groomed by someone the same age as you? That person could be older, the same age, or even someone who's in a position of authority over you. The same age, to be specific. You can be groomed by someone who's the same age. Grooming involves using trust against people. It can be hard to recognize when it's happening. Grooming is just a way to use someone's trust against them to exploit them, which something that I had heard from other people is that he was most likely friends with me because of the kind of popularity I had. He definitely tried to get a close bond with all three of us for whatever reason. He tagged me a lot and everything, constantly trying to grab my attention. Here's another sort of like article I kind of found. Groomed is a term that implies mental and emotional manipulation over time for the purposes of coercion. Typically, this manipulation is for sexual acts. Just typically, though the person could be groomed for codependency, financial gain, or emotional purposes as well. Codependency, emotional gain, financial gain, or emotional purposes. Emotional purposes or codependency, I'd say, was very present in what was happening. He didn't like it when I wasn't talking to him. He was very like codependent on me, I guess. He's constantly adding me, wanting to have all these different like collaborations with me, because this is another thing he did. He constantly asked if we could like collaborate on something, like, constantly, all the time. He used my OCs, which he butchered, by the way. He made Elliot once, and I specifically told him, like, oh yeah, Elliot's chubby. He made her very skinny and made her dirty blonde for some reason. She's not dirty blonde, she's light brown hair, but okay. Codependency and emotional purposes, he vented to Henry specifically a lot. There wasn't so much codependency with Henry that there was with me, but he vented to Henry constantly. And then when Henry called him out for it, he excused it as, when I vent, it goes hard for hours and hours. But what he was doing was the definition of what venting is. Point being, there is no age factor. The dynamics of grooming typically are between a person who has more dominant / charismatic characteristics within their personality and a person who may be more submissive / more susceptible to gaslighting or other forms of manipulation. We all really fit this title perfectly. I don't know too much about B. I don't know much about B's past or what other experiences B has had, but B was a very obviously childish sort of person. Henry and I have had bad experiences with people in the past and how they've treated us. So we were very susceptible to be manipulated again. Some questions that you may need to ask yourself if to find out if you are actually being groomed. Are they asking to keep secrets about your relationship and what's going on, even about little things that don't seem like a big deal? Michael did this a lot with Henry. He'd tell Henry things about me and him and then say, but don't tell anyone about this. Do not tell Evan that I said these things. He did this a lot. If not, it doesn't mean you're not being groomed, but if they are, then you most likely are being groomed. They're testing your ability and willingness to keep secrets. If you keep secrets about the little stuff, they'll test you with keeping secrets about riskier stuff, to the point where they could use you and be confident you won't tell. There's nothing wrong with what they're doing. They would have no reason for secrets. Another way you can tell is if they are increasingly around you more often, almost to a creepy level. However, they don't really seem to act creepy. This is another sign that you are being groomed. He did this a lot. Again, I didn't really notice him as much being around me as he was before, until suddenly we became closer, and he was just constantly trying to message me all the time. Are you feeling anxious around them? Well, they respect your boundaries. Also, again, all three of us felt very anxious around him, and he had a very hard time respecting boundaries. I asked him to please not make fun of my height. He did not listen. He claimed he forgot. I feel like it's a pretty easy thing to remember, but he claimed that he forgot and made fun of my height anyway, pushing my boundaries. Henry didn't want him to vent. Henry didn't want him to vent, which is pretty, I think, clear boundaries to have. Even if you don't tell someone that, you don't start venting to someone the day you start talking to them again. He pushed those boundaries. B wasn't comfortable being in a relationship with him or sharing their face with him. He pushed those boundaries once again. And does anyone else notice it? Is another question that you will have to find yourself asking when you may suspect that you may be being groomed. Again, every single person that I have talked to about what was happening, they all told me, this guy's creepy. I don't like this guy, and he's giving off a weird vibe. With screenshot evidence or it's directly off my phone. I don't have much of these screenshots anymore, as his number has been deleted off my phone. I just don't want any more reminders of him. Many people found him very creepy and very disturbing, and I think that's very telling for what kind of person that he was. So I think that's about it. I'll show a few screenshots, such as the whole thing with B, and then I think that's about it. My throat hurts really bad now. I've been talking for an hour, I think. So thank you for listening. And if you truly don't see any problem with his behavior and you think this is perfectly normal and that we're being unreasonable, well, then feel free to just leave, please. I don't want to talk about this. This is something I don't even mind Henry and B's feelings being invalidated because you personally don't see anything wrong with this behavior. And if you don't see anything wrong with this behavior, it may be very telling that something may be wrong. This video wasn't made to get people to attack him or anything like that. He was very guilt-trippy in the conversation he had with Henry, saying, oh, so you just want me to kill myself? What, so when I die, you're just going to have this huge party saying, oh, whoop-de-doo, Mike killed himself. Henry had never mentioned anything about him killing himself. Henry never wanted that. He was saying, hey, you've been a bad person. I just want an apology, or something like that. And he immediately pulled out the guilt trip saying, you want me to kill myself? You know, my grandma, she's in the hospital right now. It's almost Christmas. It's almost my birthday. Bringing up things that were completely irrelevant. for no reason at all. And if you think this is okay, then you may have a problem yourself. Thank you.